This is the Panasonic DP-UB820-K, a 4K Blu-ray player I've been using as my main disc machine. My honest first impression: it doesn't look fancy, but the picture and sound it puts on screen are the ones that made me fall back in love with physical media. I had some doubts at the start because the chassis feels a bit plasticky and the remote screams utility, not luxury. After a few nights with some tough 100GB discs, an OLED, and a projector, those worries faded. The performance is the story here. Key features that matter to me are the HCX video processor, universal HDR support, the HDR optimizer, and twin HDMI outputs. If you're new to some of these terms, here's the quick version. HDR is high dynamic range. It helps your TV or projector show brighter highlights, deeper shadows, and richer color. Formats like Dolby Vision and HDR10 add scene-by-scene instructions to improve that picture even more. The UB820 handles HDR10, HDR10+, Dolby Vision, and HLG, and it switches automatically to whatever your display supports. From my experience, that auto behavior is a lifesaver. I don't want to dig through menus every time a disc changes tone mapping rules. If you're the kind of person who wants to force a specific mode when a disc offers multiple options, you can, but you'll need to stop playback to flip the setting. The HDR optimizer is the secret sauce. It's a smart tone mapping tool inside the player. Some UHD discs have shaky or missing data about how bright they should be. The optimizer takes control and remaps highlights and shadows for your screen type: OLED, bright LCD, or projector. On my projector, it's a difference I can see in real scenes. Nighttime shots hold more detail, bright lamps don't blow out, and the midtones look more consistent. On my OLED, I sometimes prefer the TV's own tone mapping for the punchiest highlights, but the optimizer still gives me a reliable baseline that just works. In my opinion, this one feature is why I kept the UB820 in my rack. Upscaling is another strong point. Regular 1080p Blu-rays look like they've been polished. Edges are clean, fine textures come through, and there's none of that fake, over-sharpened look. Even DVDs are watchable in a way I didn't expect. I don't use the word lightly. The upscaling here is best I've had at home from a disc player. On the audio side, it bitstreams Dolby Atmos and DTS:X perfectly to my receiver. Bitstream just means the player sends the movie's original audio track untouched to your AVR or soundbar to decode. My system locks onto the right format instantly, and lip sync has been solid. For music, the analog outputs sound clean and open, and it handles high-res files like FLAC, ALAC, WAV, and DSD through USB with no drama. Just know this isn't a universal audio machine. It won't play SAT-D or DVD audio discs. It's perfect for movie nights and for people who keep high-resolution files on a thumb drive. Physical design is simple. It's light, low profile, and easy to slot into a cabinet. The front panel is tidy, with a flip-down door, a basic display that shows elapsed time, and a practical USB port. The rear is where it gets flexible. There are two HDMI ports, one for video and audio to your TV, and another audio-only HDMI to feed an older receiver that can't pass 4K HDR. Using them separately helps reduce interference and solves compatibility headaches. There's also 7.1-channel analog out if you run a legacy preamp, optical audio for quick setups, Ethernet, and a second USB. From my experience, the drive is quiet in motion and disk loading is quick enough that I don't think about it. Quick start mode makes it boot almost instantly, though it sips more power in standby. I keep it on because I like getting to a movie fast. Now for the part that annoyed me. The software interface is powerful, but dated. The settings are spread out, and a few important toggles are buried in places that break the flow. The remote works and the buttons are spaced well, but it's not backlit, and the Netflix button is too easy to hit by accident. When I'm watching in a dark room, that missing backlight gets old. I ended up memorizing the layout, but still, I wish Panasonic had done better here. Streaming is the biggest letdown. The built-in apps are minimal, and they just don't run well. I've had freezes and odd errors that sent me reaching for the power cord. The best fix is simple. Don't rely on this for apps. A dedicated streaming stick or box is faster, smoother, and constantly updated. The same heads-up applies to local file playback. It'll read MKVs from USB or over the network, but it can't decode lossless audio tracks like Dolby True HD or DTS HD Master Audio from those files. It falls back to the lossy core, which means you lose the Atmos or DTS:X detail you probably wanted. Also, the Ethernet port is 100 megapixel, not gigabit. That's usually fine for discs and many files, but it's another sign this player is built first and foremost for optical media. Reliability with discs has been excellent for me. I threw a bunch of triple-layer UHDs at it, including titles that have tripped up other players in my setup, and the UB820 ran through them cleanly. I had one freeze that turned out to be a dirty disc. A quick clean, and the problem disappeared. That's the kind of behavior I expect from a reference player. Stable, forgiving, and quiet during actual playback. It's easy to talk about numbers and acronyms, but here's what I notice when I watch. Faces look more lifelike. Small textures jump out without looking harsh. Dark scenes hold detail instead of turning into mush. And bright highlights sit in a comfortable place that feels cinematic rather than blinding. The HCX processor and tone mapping make a visible difference. In my opinion, if you value the look of a well-mastered film on a good display, this player earns its spot. It's perfect for someone who still collects discs and wants them to look and sound correct on a modern 4K setup. If your receiver is a few generations old, the twin HDMI outputs solve a lot of headaches. If you own a projector and you're fighting with HDR, the HDR optimizer is worth the price by itself. If you want one box for discs, streaming, and local files with lossless audio, this isn't that box. Pair it with a dedicated streamer, and you'll be happier. From my experience, setup is simple. Connect the main HDMI to your TV, the audio HDMI to your AVR if needed, pick the HDR optimizer preset that matches your display type, and leave auto HDR switching on. That gets you most of the way to a great picture without chasing settings every night. I'd recommend this for disc-first home theater fans, projector owners who want better HDR tone mapping, and anyone who values rock-solid playback over flashy looks. If your priority is apps and network media, consider a different path or add a streaming device. In conclusion, the Panasonic DP-UB820-K nails the core job. The body is plain, the menus feel old, and the apps are an afterthought, but the image and sound quality from discs are outstanding. It handles every HDR flavor that matters, cleans up shaky metadata with the HDR optimizer, and upscales older content beautifully. That's why it stays in my stack. If you found this helpful, subscribe to the channel and drop your questions or experiences in the comments. Thank you for watching.